I kind of go off this motto of no excuses, high expectations, and no explanations. It doesn't matter what hand that you were dealt with, you still got to find a way.
In this episode of the Coaching Coordinator Podcast, National Coach of the Week presented by Modern Football Technology, head coach Antonio Graham discusses his journey leading Owasso High School, including a key victory over perennial powerhouse Jenks High School. He reflects on the mentorship of former head coach Bill Blankenship and emphasizes his commitment to high expectations and accountability, summarized by his motto, no excuses, high expectations, and perfect execution. Coach Graham discusses challenges in high school football, such as athlete mobility and transferring from school to school, and highlights the importance of building strong player-coach relationships. Stay tuned for our Winning Edge takeaway following the episode. Our presenting sponsor for the National Coach of the Week is Modern Football Technology. Modern Football is an out-of-the-box solution that integrates into your workflow to make you more efficient in your self-scout, opponent breakdown, and game planning, and give you in-game analytics at the speed of the game for better decision-making and informed play calls. You can get started now in season. A link to book a quick demo is in the show notes. Christian and the Modern Football Technology team will take care of you and get you operational quickly. Here's Cal Bear Technology Director Matt Fox talking about the viability of the tools he brings to his coaches. He and his coaches would let you know that Modern Football Technology is a tool that will make the difference for you and your staff. Let's take a listen.
So when we're looking at new technology to implement in our program, there's a couple things we take a look at. Number one is it viable? Is it going to make our guys more efficient? Is there some excitement with the guys who are going to be using it? Because I can push a lot of technology, and there's a lot of companies that sound great, and I can push them on our coaches and try to get our coaches to use it. But ultimately, if they don't feel some buy-in, like it's going to help them, then it's going to be really hard for them to implement and change their ways in the future.
Get started now with insights and decisions that will help you win games. The link is in the show notes. It's time for another Coach and Coordinator Podcast, National Coach of the Week, presented by Modern Football Technology. We're with our Week 3 Coach of the Week, who we'd like to recognize for their win over Jenks High School, another outstanding program in the Tulsa area. And our Coach of the Week is Antonio Graham, head coach at Owasso High School. Coach, great to have you here, and congratulations on a big win and a great week.
Man, thank you very much, man. It's an honor to be on this, man. And I appreciate what you do for high school coaches and coordinators around the country, man. So thank you very much.
So for our listeners who don't know about Owasso, you followed Coach Bill Blankenship, who, a lot of people know from the college football world. He's done an excellent job at the high school level. You played for him back in the day and then coached for him for a while at Tulsa, and then had the opportunity to be his defensive coordinator at Owasso before taking over after he stepped down. So for you, just talk about how much this program means to you. I know that has to be a huge honor for you to be able to be in this position.
Absolutely, man. Coach Blankenship has been nothing but a blessing to me. Like you said, he coached me, and I went on and played at Pittsburgh State University up in D2 school, the Pitt State Gorillas. And as soon as I graduated, it wasn't no doubt for me to get into coaching. So I was able to go back to my alma mater for a couple of years. Once Coach Blankenship got the job at the University of Tulsa, he gave me a call. I was able to work under him. And, he was at this stage of his life where he just wanted to just mentor coaches and just give them basically all the tools they need and, just criticize them and, and just kind of push them to be coaches, because he knew sooner or later that he had to pass the baton. And, man, I just ate that up, man. And I was just trying to learn as much as I can from him. So I kind of knew he was on his way out. So when that opportunity came upon itself, whenever he retired and they chose me, it was just a blessing, man, to be honest with you. I took a bunch of things that he did in this program and kind of added my fingerprint on there as well. And so we just kind of taking it one day at a time and trying to go 1-0 each week, brother. And so we continue to do that. We're going to be just fine. So, but this is a great community out here in Owasso. A little small town, atmosphere, suburb in Tulsa, has grown a lot. And it wasn't a football school. They have a great baseball program. And once we got here in 2017, we won a state championship our first year here. which is just crazy. It's kind of becoming, last year we won state in basketball. We got one of the number one players in the country in the Owasso as well. And so in basketball, and our baseball program is awesome. We got an awesome softball program who's in the state championship every year. So we're kind of seeing like a community and a school district just getting better and better and everything. And with that being said, man, we just got to keep doing what we're doing and keep striving for excellence.
I know in doing a little research on you, reading some articles, watching some videos on you, that your coaches, your teachers, your guidance counselors, all those people really impacted you and how they took you under their wing when you were young. And really, it's what's driven you towards coaching and something that's at the heart of your coaching today. We'd love to hear a little bit about just how you take, those positive things that happen to you and put it into your program and the things you do as a coach.
I kind of go off this motto, no excuses, high expectations, and no explanations. It doesn't matter what hand that you were dealt with, you still got to find a way. And so, a little bit about myself. I grew up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, moved up here. I'm the oldest of six, and my mom, had me at a very young age. And just kind of give you a quick version, got put in foster care. Mom kind of went through some things or whatever. And then my father lived up here in Tulsa, moved up here to Oklahoma with my dad. And things are going great. I get into football. My dad, very awesome. Great man, taught me morals and be respectful and everything. Well, he ended up getting murdered 2 days before Christmas when I was in the 9th grade. There was nothing but coaches and a counselor and teachers that kind of took me in. It took a village. I didn't know anything about the ACT or anything like that. Or, I made good grades. I was smart enough where, when my dad passed away, I didn't really tell very many people at all, because I didn't want to go back to Alabama or anything like that to get back in a particular situation that I came from. But my high school coaches just wrapped their arms around me, Coach Blankenship and my assistant and some of those assistant coaches on that staff. And they were willing to kind of do whatever to get me through it. But before then, for a long time, I was kind of doing it on my own. So when they found out that I was kind of doing it on my own, it was all hands in. So when I got done with college, it wasn't no impact, no doubt that I was going to go coach. And so I tell kids, like, a lot of kids don't know my story, but when they do come in my office with these excuses, and I kind of tell them, like, hey, you probably don't know this about Coach Ram, but I didn't grow up without a dad. My mom went through things. So, and I still made it to football practice. I still did this. I still did that. I was still able to graduate with a degree and then went on and got a master's degree. That's not supposed to happen. So I beat the odds. And so your story is nowhere near as bad as mine, So I know you can handle it. You just got to put your head down and get to work. And so it kind of gives those guys a wake-up call whenever they hear my story. They be like, hey, I don't have it so bad at all. We have that motto here, no excuses, high expectations, and perfect execution around here. So if you stayed up late because parents was arguing or mom or dad, got a divorce, call a coach or reach out to a coach, ask for help. We're going to find a way to help you guys out. And you got to make sure your staff is on board with that as well.
The relationship part of our game has always been important. I mean, the personal side of it right there, obviously very impactful, being able to share those kinds of things with your players. But from a practical standpoint, right now, we are in, and it goes into the high school level, right? I know it affects you guys in Tulsa. We're in a transfer portal world. Kids more than ever have a lot of flexibility to move from school to school, and that's around the country. I hear it from coaches all the time. And for the ones who don't have that ability, I mean, they're pretty creative in finding a way. It's always happened.
No doubt.
And it's this need to make sure that they want to be developed. They want to see what their role is, especially if they're good enough to play. And I know, at a school or a team with 120 on your roster, there's probably a lot of talent behind those first string guys that if you don't have a plan for, they might leave. So as you're into the season now, right, you still need to be looking at that. How do you approach that part of it?
I think, you kind of make sure up front that you have plenty of JV games. We try to play 2 JV games a week. A lesser team, and your team that could go into a varsity game and finish the game for you or their backups. And so the more games you can get those guys playing to keep those guys into the program, and also try to be able to find roles on those guys and make sure, the little things like the special teams are very important. But at the end of the day, brother, it starts with relationships. One thing that we do here in our program, every Wednesday, we have a word of the week, and we pick out a coach. Like, for example, like this week was integrity. And a coach kind of make up questions on that. And that Thursday, the coach tells the story, and he goes into what integrity is. And so our players know our coaching staff very, very well. But one thing that if I can provide anybody with information, if you ask a player 3 questions, hey, who's your hero? What's a hardship? And what's something that you're proud of? Those 3 easy questions, you can find out a lot about a player. And if you can develop that relationship, man, and just be real with them, because one thing these kids realize, man, they can smell what's fake and what's real more than anything you can. We all know there's only one football that goes around, and you can't make them all happy. But you can get a kid to stay in your program if you just be honest with them, and you can just be upfront with them. This year, brother, we have 45 seniors in our program, and that's the best we have ever had in a long time. That kind of tells you that our kids are kind of staying in the program. They're kind of buying in into what we're preaching and things like that. And so that's been a blessing so far. And so out of these 45 seniors, there was only 3 kids quit, and they were transfer guys as well, in which I understand why. It still sucks because I'm selfish. I'm not going to ever in my life, keep a kid from not transferring to better themselves. I may ask them not. I don't want to play against them. So, but that's just kind of the world. But you just got to make sure you have a good relationship with them, brother.
So, Coach, the season starts for you guys. You just finished week 2, but you start with Bixby, who's won 9 out of 10 years. They've won a state title. They have 7 in a row. Huge game right off the bat, and you guys come through with a win. I'm sure there was a lot of excitement around that, but right after that, obviously, you face Jenks, who's in the state championship, has a number of state championships themselves, a hugely successful program in the Tulsa area. So, you guys don't have a lot of time to just, rest on your laurels there, and you got to get right back after it with Jenks, and you guys did with a huge win, 42-24.
Yes, sir. Starting off with Bisbee, they're a great program, great coaches, and I always tell kids that, I told them this is not a one-game season. If you go ahead and throw all your eggs into that basket and you act like we won a state championship, we're going to get beat the next week by Jenks, and then you're going to get beat the next week. There's no easy break with our district and conference that we're in. They got to bring it every week, and now, we beat the high-profile Bisbee team, and so everybody's going to give us our best shot. You're going to get kids that play with fanatical effort, and it's a good way that our kids got to stay on the edge, and they got to keep their head down and, and be very, very prepared at all times. So I'm trying my best to keep these guys uncomfortable and hungry, and you also got to make sure you're having fun while doing that and enjoy the process. There's no weeks off until the bye, and nobody ain't going to remember what we did that week 1 against Bisbee. They're going to remember how you finished at the end of the day. That's what I've been kind of preaching to them. And it starts today on Monday at practice.
Right back with another 6A opponent. And for our listeners who aren't familiar, I think 6A football in Tulsa is as good as anywhere in the country. Highly competitive, a lot of great players there. Facilities of those schools are unbelievable. Having visited them myself, you got Charles Page this week, and then you're right into another one of those perennial powerhouses with Union. I mean, you got to take it one at a time, but just thinking about the focus, right? And looking at last week, going from that big Bixby win into Jenks, what were some of the things you guys did, and you particularly as a head coach, right away to make sure, hey, we're refocused. We got to beat Jenks this week?
I just told them don't read about themselves in the paper, and the biggest thing is, I believe you have to show kids examples, visuals or whatever. I went back and looked at some YouTube stuff where teams won a big game and the next week, I call them a hangover. And they had a hangover from the last game and kind of showed them examples like this, what could happen if whenever you beat somebody big and you lose that one and now you just lose all the momentum. You know what I mean? And you're fighting back to get some of your respect back. I made sure I kind of showed them examples of what could happen, even with our own team. It happened with us in the past. We went into a game, played against Jenks in 2021, where we were undefeated all year, and we thought we were just big bad tough. And then Jenks came and took what we worked hard for, and it went away so fast. And at the end of the day, I just got to tell these things, man, you got one chance at this, and you're not going to get these deals back. And don't go back and say, like your parents and your grandparents always say, and don't go back and say, I wish I would have. So when you go out to practice and when you get off that practice field, I literally ask them after every practice, do you have any regrets? Hopefully you don't. And if you don't say, I wish I would have did something, well, you got an opportunity to do it now. You know, so that's kind of my deal moving forward. And I just beg them and I ask them and I look them right in their eyes. Give me all you got, man. You know, because I'm going to give you all my God. I'm still got to, you can tell my voice is still ain't came back yet because you can just tell, you know. So that's my deal with them. And give me all you got for 2 hours, and we take it from there. And don't read about yourself in the paper because the humble will get humbled. They're doing a good job about it. It's a fight with everybody, you know, with so much social media and things that's going on in today's society. They're doing a great job about it. So we just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you definitely have one of those great examples to show them this week with Northern Illinois beating number 5 Notre Dame at home.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. That's a good point. And I don't want to have to show them. I don't want to have to come back in on Sunday and be like, hey, I told you so. You know, you get one chance at this. And so let's do it right. I'm just going to keep letting them know that and find ways to get better. The good thing is, you know, as we played Jenks, we made some mistakes. So we always got to get better because here's the deal. In 6A football in Oklahoma, you're going to have to play somebody twice in the playoffs.
Yep.
You want to make sure that you're getting better every week as an individual and as a coach. You got to make sure you're getting better. We want to get to week 11 healthy, and that's usually our playoffs round, and hopefully we just continue getting better. These first 2 games are great measuring sticks. And we know Bisbee's going to get better. We know Jenks is going to get better. And here in a couple of weeks, we got Broken Arrow, we got Union, we got Edmond Santa Fe, and it's just all these guys are third-round Final Four state championship teams that, you know, it's not going to be easy. And so I wouldn't want it any other way, honestly, because it's going to force you to get better because you got a hard and tough schedule.
Couldn't agree with you more, Coach. That's what makes coaching this game so much fun. It was great to have you here, spending some time with us on the podcast. Congratulations on being named National Coach of the Week, and good luck to you and the Owasso Rams as you progress through the season.
Thank you very much for having me, and appreciate you guys again for what you do.
Here's our winning edge takeaway for this episode with Coach Graham. I love his motto, and part of it is no excuses, no explanations. And it reminds me of something that our offensive coordinator, when I first took a job as a quarterbacks coach at then Baldwin Wallace College, now Baldwin Wallace University, he'd say it all the time. No excuses, no explanations. And, you know, we've heard that before, no excuses, but the no explanation parts, I think, goes beyond that. And we're guilty of it as coaches. How many times do we sit in our coach's office and we look at what happened on film and we start explaining why that happened? And, you know, I think if you have to start explaining why things happen, then there's something that needs to be fixed. And I think that's something good for you to talk to your players about, to your coaching staff about, to reflect on yourself. Am I looking for explanations for this, or am I willing to get down to the root of what's working and what's not and make sure that we're continuously improving? The explanations, I think, are very closely related to the excuses, and you have to be very careful about explaining things away to make yourself feel better, to make your team feel better, to make your coaching staff feel better. You have to take a look at what is going on. How can we get better? Again, be sure to check out our presenting sponsor, Modern Football Technology. The link to a demo is in the show notes. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.